This week, a controversial bill may make Gen Con move out of Indiana.
And our topic of the week is uncomfortable themes. Are there any themes in board games that are too taboo to be touched upon? I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and this is the Roll for Crit podcast.
It's been a roller coaster this week, keeping up with the story of Gen Con and this bill in Indiana, which goes under the title SB 101. But in short, it would allow businesses in Indiana to refuse service to same-sex couples. And Gen Con, the CEO of Gen Con, Adrian Swartout, actually wrote a letter to the governor urging him not to sign the bill and citing the fact that people who attend Gen Con are a diverse crowd and it would turn some of them away, and even kind of threatening to leave Indiana, which does a lot of great business for them up there. Well, a few days later, in spite of that, the governor did sign the bill, and after that, Gen Con again sent out another letter to the community letting them know we're still behind you, and if you choose not to come, we understand, but we hope you do come, because unfortunately their contract goes until 2020. So if they want to, they would not be able to move until 2021. However, they did start putting out their email address and saying, if any other cities have bids or ideas of where we should go, let us know. So it's hard to say, that's 5 years from now, but Gen Con could be moving. And I mean, this is a big story for a number of reasons, like for that alone.
Right. I actually did read articles defending this. First of all, we should mention it doesn't specifically say in the law no same-sex marriage. Well, it's specifically the specific is a business or corporation has the right to defend its religious views. Now, if you were to look at that without any view of anything else, I mean, it's understand you're giving them some more protection. However,
it's legalese for
seeing how often it is abused.
Right.
And while the article I read said, yes, people could take it to court and they'll be shot down for refusing service for same-sex marriage, the problem is it's going to be used too often, and I'm sure there's a high chance it will get approved. So even if maybe in a completely neutral, ignore opinion, like everyone's strong opinions, it might make sense. So if you're arguing on that side, the problem is it's too volatile of a rule to be abused. It'd be almost, I'm trying to think of an example in a board game, but
because no one will understand anything unless we compare it to a board game.
Of course.
It's like when the robber comes onto Space and Catan.
I still don't understand the guy's other argument through the actual rule. And I haven't taken any law classes, I will say. But I have to... Yeah, I mean,
no.
I have to agree with Gen Con's move here, I feel. I think the law, like I said, I think the law is too volatile. It's going to be taken advantage of too much. Maybe if it was rewarded somehow, I don't know if you can. But I understand Gen Con's move, and I know they're not the only ones. I know there's a lot of other companies and stuff that are either pulling out or pausing whatever they're doing there.
Yeah, no, I don't think I think we're coming out on the right side of history against this. We usually don't get too political on this show, but this is actually a weird story. I mean, for board games, it's this usually these sides of the world don't connect.
No, I think they do. It's just not so big. They don't make such big waves.
Not in this kind of a way. And I think it's fantastic that he took the courage, I guess, to actually write this letter and make this statement as someone who actually does wield a lot of power. Because, like we said, the Gen Con brings in tons of money for the city of Indiana, and I also I like that it's a great. We're in a time of gamers don't exactly have the best rap these days, so it's nice to see a community of them coming together for like a positive change.
I do respect that. At the same time, I'm a little curious because he knew he was stuck in Indiana no matter what until 2020.
I think there was an empty. Either whether it was an empty threat or not, it's
but making it public does make I'm sure a lot of people feel at least better.
And you have to also consider there's a lot of businesses that benefit from Gen Con that are against the bill, and this would be hurting them as well.
No, yeah.
So there's a lot of things, and I mean, I think hopefully
I'm sure the hotels do not want Gen Con to go.
That too, yeah. I mean, 5 years is a pretty long time, sort of. And by then, who knows? Maybe this bill might be overturned by then. I mean, I don't know how law works in any regard. But so at any rate, it's going to still be there. I don't know if there's anywhere else. Like, I mean, I hope it does stay. I hope that things work out and that it changes because I like it there. I don't want to see them move to California or somewhere like that. You know what I mean? It would be
you want to be close to
harder for us. Yeah.
No, but I like it more because I'm one of those guys who, it's sort of the tradition of being there. And it's a very nice big convention center.
Sure.
So in that sort of it's sort of like we can be in the 50th anniversary. We're here 50 years.
I mean,
it
probably would take him 5 years just to start finding a new place and planning for it anyway.
Yeah, well, that's probably what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Like I said, anything could happen, especially because we'll go through another presidential election. That's God knows what's going to happen depending on who we vote. The country could turn red, blue, purple.
So it's a big deal, but
no,
we'll see. I think the ramifications might not be seen until later down the line. We'll see at this year's Gen Con. Maybe attendance will be different. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would not be surprised. Yeah. But
that's our big story for the week.
Another popular game, Five Tribes. It's coming out with its second reprint, if I recall correctly.
Our first or second something. Yeah.
Another printing. And one of the cards in the game is called the Slave, or Slaves, and you could sell them to gain advantage or money. In this next editions, they're actually changing that. The card now will be known as the Fakirs, which look like snake charmers, judging by the artwork. Mm-hmm. And you could buy them separately if you have an old copy and want to replace them. This comes from a lot of people, finding it very uncomfortable to see slaves as a card and being able to use and take advantage of them. Right. Which is an interesting, and I think also probably a good choice on their part, because as far as I know, Five Tribes doesn't desperately need. It's not like the entire game. It's not they're replacing a huge component.
Right. It's not as. It's not. There's some more other earth-shattering news for Five Tribes, which is that they're giving them a new tribe.
Oh,
so now it's 6 tribes.
Well, is that in the box?
No, that's I think an expansion.
Oh well, that's fine though. That's fine. That's still good.
I just thought it was funny, but yeah, no, I think it's cool that they are. They actually listen to people and they're spending the money. They're Days of Wonder, so they can afford to fix things up. And that's, of course, I don't want to get too deep into it because this is sort of what we're going to talk about in our topic of the week. But yeah, it's interesting. So good on you, Days of Wonder. We'll get into that. There's all kinds of movements for social change this week. The people behind Catan are doing a special event that I think is going on this week or very soon called the Catan Rickshaw for Charity, something along those lines, Rickshaw Run. They are actually a team of people from Mayfair, all the Catan-related companies, are driving 2,700 kilometers across India in motorized rickshaws. And along the way, they're going to be taking photographs and talking to people. And the idea is to spread awareness of the poorer areas of India and the kind of help that they need. And they're working with this charity, I think it's called Child Aid. And you can go online and donate to support, and it's just a nice charitable thing they're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool to see another. This week is all about gamers reaching out. Gen Con, Five Tribes, Catan. Everyone wants to make a difference.
Well, actually, their India board game has not been selling well, so this
maybe Catan Settlers for India is coming soon. I don't know. We'll see. It could be research.
So that's pretty cool.
That's that.
But to go back on a down note.
Yeah.
Mike McArthur, who was the editor currently World of War, Wizards of the Coast. Wow, I mixed it up. For Magic the Gathering, as well as he worked at what's the company, Paizo, thank you. Died, which is really sad. He was a big part of the community. He did a lot of the stuff you probably just barely noticed, like making sure everything looks nice, after all, editor. The
kind of thing that he's not a big name that but behind the scenes.
He helps hold together a lot. Yeah. And, I feel really bad for all the people who work for him because, they're the people who probably hurt really the most out of this.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know there's a lot of nice, memoriam things that people wrote you can read online. And, it's nice to see everybody, come together at least because it does remind you that, there's a lot of people in the industry that do important things that you don't even know about unless you're really involved. Unless you worked for Wizards of the Coast, probably you might not have even known who this guy was. But yeah, it's everybody keeps dying. They got to stop. We're trying to put a stop to it.
And respect to everyone, no matter how big, whether your name's on the box or not.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, except for Ivan, we don't care for Ivan.
No. Ivan, whatever. All right, but that's all our big important news announcements for this week. We are going to bring you our Kickstarter Pickstarter next. My pick this week is a game called Salem from developer Travis Hancock. It is a game for 4 to 12 players. It is sort of in the style of Mafia, Werewolf, Resistance, those kinds of games that we tend to like and talk about all the time. And it, of course, takes place during the Salem witch trials. And some people in the group are going to be witches, and some people aren't. And it's a card game, and as the game progresses, you'll be accusing people of being witches. You can play cards on them to make people suspicious of them and things like that. And there is an element of player elimination as well. So the game ends when either all the witches are dead or all the humans are dead, something like that. And the other thing that's really cool about this that we both love is that the packaging it comes in is like an old book. And it really looks like a musty, antique-looking ancient book from the 1600s, and you can put it on a shelf, and it disguises itself among the rest of your books. But yeah, I love the theme. I love the artwork is cool, and we love the packaging.
I did really like it when I looked at this. It seemed more than just the basic Mafia, like someone's a witch, just find it. It seemed because first of all, they did research with a lot more of the the actual people,
like the
in
townsfolk
Salem
and stuff. Yeah,
and it seemed to be a lot of it was more. I felt I don't know how to explain it, but it seemed more. It captured what Salem, the feeling of Salem, almost like there's just evidence cards that you can just throw at people to prove that they're this or that.
Yeah, the whole the theme was very well done. Yeah, it's got a lot of cool. The paranoia and there's like trials for the witches and stuff like that. Yeah, it's interesting that basically this game assumes that witches were real. I like that too. I think it's true. But that's my pick. You can get it for $25. It's available now, so check it out.
All right, my pick this week is Post-Human from Mr. B Games. In this game, you're either going to choose to play the humans or the mutants, or you may become a mutant later on. The goal is it's a post-apocalyptic world. You have to gather. You've heard this rumored fortress, this safe haven, and you're trying to make your way there. To do that, you're gonna have to explore, get supplies. You have morale, health, and on these tiles, we'll have different speeds depending on whether you're a mutant or a human, as well as there'll be vantage points. So if you can climb a mountain, you may see 3 tiles and okay, that's a safer route, but it's longer. But like this route, I might have a better chance of getting food. This one, guns. As well as there were different events, like you may come across an orphanage, or if you give them food, you may get a morale or something.
Or if you burn it down and take their food, you...
Well, the one example I saw, I think they didn't have any food. That was the whole thing.
Oh, okay. I mean, I wouldn't do that, just hypothetically.
But it looked a lot of fun. The cool sort of had not like the hidden trader, but still the trader mechanic of someone could switch sides.
Well, I thought some of it was hidden, because if you become a mutant, or is it open information?
I'm pretty sure it's open information from what I saw. I know you can actually opt out in the beginning and just say you're a mutant.
Oh, okay.
But it could maybe there's a hidden mechanic.
Or variants at least.
But I did think it was really cool. The post-apocalyptic. It sort of reminded me of
Fallout.
No, well yes, Fallout. But I was thinking of the board game, the zombie game, Winter.
Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter. Thank you. It's sort of that just survival really captures that survival aspect.
Yeah, I almost picked that one too.
No, we both saw these and we were like, so when we came to each other, we were like, okay, I've got two too.
Yeah, no, it looks really cool. The whole wandering until you find other people. It seems like a great idea. And then when you add in the mutants and stuff, I love that. And this is from the same publisher who did Alien Uprising, which we haven't played yet, but we do sell. And
you've heard some good things, right?
Yeah, I've heard people like it, so it's the concept is
great. And I thought the artwork looks really nice as well. It's already way past its funding. I think almost as of recording this, it was almost 3 times what it asked. Hit a bunch of stretch goals, a lot of great stuff.
And how much for?
For the basic, it's $52 plus shipping, depending where you are. So I know it's $9 for United States, but a little more depending where else. But it comes with a lot. I think it sounds like a really awesome game. I've already backed it. like you just said. Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't. I just reminded myself. I'll probably back
you
it.
probably back. That's you. For you, if you're reminded, it's a 90% chance of you backing it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's more of you just trying to like prolong the inevitable of losing money.
Yeah, right.
But no, I think both of these games are both. Like we said, we both saw them and instantly were really.
It's a good week. It was a
good week.
So links below. Mm-hmm. Links below.
But for now, I think it's time for our topic of the week.
Our topic for this episode is going to be uncomfortable themes. We're going to try to answer the question, is there such a thing as a theme that shouldn't be used in a game? Are there themes that offend you, that rub you the wrong way, that maybe aren't good fare for a board game? The particular example in my head, the first time that I came across this idea was for the game Letters from Whitechapel, which takes place in Victorian times. It's all about Jack the Ripper, and one player, as Jack the Ripper, their role in the game is to go out and murder women. There were some people online on Board Game Geek who were talking about how they, or people they knew, wouldn't want to play the game because they were just too uncomfortable with the idea of playing the guy who's murdering women. And I thought it was an interesting thing because I had never even thought about it. I'd never played a game where I was like, oh, I don't want to play that. But I'm sure there might be a point where that would come.
For me, I know the first time I heard it was it came up with two things.
Okay.
It came up with the board game Freedom, which is when you actually play during the Underground Railroad, and the other one was actually about war games, in particular playing as the Nazis. Mm-hmm. I watched and heard about that, and I know for me, it's not, like I said, it's not something I thought about. And I'll admit, I'm sort of the top of the
food chain.
The food chain in terms of white, straight, male. So like for me, it probably is not something I see a lot, or at least I think a lot of. Privilege. Thank you. The privilege chain. Right. And so it's hard. It's probably harder for me to spot these things. Yet for other people who maybe have been attacked by maybe a man, so a woman being attacked by a man. So playing Whitechapel would actually scare. It sort of brings up some bad memories.
Jack the Ripper murdered them and they're a ghost.
Well, maybe not. It doesn't have to be direct 1-to-1. But I mean, the kind of things I can understand where they come from. Mm-hmm. The one thing that does confuse me a bit when it comes to this is I've seen people who would argue with this about some of these things, and then seem to make a 180-degree turn on Cards Against Humanity, and then laugh when they do the exact same thing that mocks a kind of stereotype or card.
It's one of those things where most people, some people are uniform, but most people I feel like have those one or two things that they specifically aren't okay with. Like there's plenty of games out there where you're a war game where you're killing each other, even whether it's a fantasy or whatever, you're still murdering each other. So it definitely, in my mind, there is part of it at a certain point is, where do you draw the line of what's okay and what's not? It's really, it's all down to personal opinion and what you're feeling.
I do think sometimes it's not as much just the topic cannot be touched, but how it's handled.
Sure. Well, that's why, and that's one of the reasons, I think one of the defenses, and we'll go back to Letters from Whitechapel, mm-hmm. is the fact that this is a historical game, or like a World War II game with the Nazis, where it's not, even though, it's fun and suspenseful, it still is meant to be, at least in part, kind of an educational experience. There, it's based on reality. You're recreating this thing that really happened, and maybe it's not like the happiest, most fun thing, but it does. It's not like someone just made up a game where you're going around stomping on children or something. Well, it's based on something, which I think is a valid reason to look at it and say, well, it's okay because it's like people who do Civil War reenactments.
Well, that brings up to the point. I think certain games, someone has to play the villain if you want some sort of competition, mm-hmm. which I understand. In particular, I think of especially with acting. Someone has to play, King Joffrey, which is which comes up in particular with that game, for example, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which helps bring a lot of, when we've played it, a lot of the tension, especially when you're the cop and you tell everyone to go the wrong way, like I do. But I think this connects to, because there's certain topics I think that could be done great with a game if handled by the right person who can respect it. Like, I haven't played Freedom. Maybe it does.
Well, isn't Freedom all about? I mean, I haven't played it either,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Isn't that one all about? I would think if you're uncomfortable with that, it would be purely because you just didn't want to touch that subject matter at all. From what I've seen and read, it seems pretty tastefully like it's all about. It's not like I don't think anyone's playing like the slave master in that game or anything like that.
Right, and I think there's plenty of other topics which haven't been touched because people think they're taboo, but it's a matter of not they're taboo. It's just you can't just willy-nilly it. Like it needs to be done right.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things like that where it's especially a lot of historical games I find run into that. Like a lot of times, like something small, like with Tales of the Arabian Nights, where most of the playable characters are males because that's who's in the book, and those were that's an example where they actually changed things around. Like I know they kind of made the female characters much more interesting and developed in the game, whereas in the original stories, it's very one-sided towards the dudes, and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's sometimes you could kind of fudge it that way, but I also, like I wouldn't want to see the Jack the Ripper game where Jack the Ripper's like Santa Claus or something like that. there's a line there too.
The atheists try to find Santa Claus. That's the Jack the Ripper new version.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, if you're not feeling something, that's your prerogative. You can't.
Well, how would you deal with that if you're in your play group? Let's say you're in a group and you did not like Letters to Whitechapel. I'll keep using that example.
Yeah.
And someone brings it up, and let's say they're very
Five
passionate.
Tribes, it's the slaves.
Right.
Which is why we started this. Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it really. Well, look. If somebody doesn't want to play it, then you don't play it. But there's a point, like if it's the same person comes every single week and they never want to play it, then you can say, oh, just please, can we like one night because I paid for this game or something like that. I guess it goes back to our gaming etiquette from last week. Yeah, it's definitely, definitely, talk to them or maybe even try to see if they'll
split into two groups.
Yeah,
maybe?
that or like if you could maybe let's talk about the ramifications of the game and what does this mean and why does this offend you and what can. It's like when you watch like an R-rated movie with your kid. You explain to them what it was all about afterwards. It's all about communications.
Speaking of which, with the 5 tribes, with the slaves, that made me think because I know slaves appear as well in the other Z-Man game you just talked about, Tales of
Arabian Nights. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So do you think they should replace slaves?
No,
you don't. You don't
well, no, because it's all. I mean, it's again they did change some stuff, like I just said, but I do, it's part of that. You're in that mode of that.
I do, world. I think
it's based on something.
The difference is in 5 tribes, slaves were strictly, from what I can tell, a commodity, which is sort of offensive because that's it. However, in the game Tales of Arabia, they're not commodity in the sense of that. They're more like you come across one. How would you react? Right,
it's part of the story. They existed. That's the thing.
You could be a jerk.
That's the other
and just say, I'm going to return him to his master. Yeah. I'm sure that's an option in it. Have we come across this when we played it?
Yeah, I think Neil beat one up.
Oh, he did? No, he beat up a homeless person, and then he convinced all the other homeless people.
Tales of the Arabian Nights for sale right now. It's a great game. But I do think sometimes, I like because there's a line between, well, that's not appropriate and we don't ever want to think about it.
No,
like slavery existed.
No, and I think
the fact that you're not talking about it doesn't make it better.
What's nice about the Arabian, not as well, but you could do in other games, is making choices where you have to make it come across something difficult. This isn't a board game choice, but I know I watched because a lot of people really had to think about this. In Mass Effect 2,
no spoilers now. Be careful.
Spoilers for Mass Effect 2 if you haven't played it.
Some people probably haven't.
I know, that's why I said it right there. That was a serious one. No, that was a good.
Sounded sarcastic.
I'm sorry, did not mean to sound sarcastic. What were the robot aliens called? That start with a G.
I don't remember.
Anyways, you go to their planet and you're told to either kill them all or brainwash them all. And it's like the brainwash one was the blue, which is like supposed to be the good choice, and the kill them all the bad. But a lot of people actually said it wasn't a black and white.
There's moral gray areas.
Yeah, because, is brainwashing a whole group of people better than just letting them die with their true beliefs?
Okay, now how are we bringing this back around to
my point is, if you brought in a game with slaves and you had all these choices where you actually had to think, and, it's not just money done, or for most, like something that would make you actually.
There's a way to handle it, like you said. To be gentle with it.
Yes, and maybe cause people to think. In fact, wasn't there a Kickstarter recently? I know we haven't chosen a Kickstarter Pickstarter. I apologize, but like you actually go and have to discuss aliens.
It was called something with the Earth in the title.
Yeah.
I could put it on the screen where it was all about. It was like Model UN the game or so kind of. It was all about debating about issues of world health and politics and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So it's interesting when people do stuff like that.
And I think these are topics eventually. I hope someone can do it well. And not only that, just also bring maybe representation to people. I'm sure there's plenty of people. I don't know if board games show it as much, mostly because everyone's just meepled colors, not actual characters. But like, might not see their own skin tone or gender or sex within a game.
Right.
And maybe something that just represents it more and not in a way where it's just like it's a straw man or caricature of their whatever your group is. Mm-hmm. Something where they can feel just as well in the games as we all do. Which brings us also back to Gen Con and why there should not be a law that people should have to worry about whatever store they walk into.
I will say, as a final thought, the one thing that I have to say no to. I'm sorry if you're out there watching this person who I saw on Board Game Geek or who refused to play Agricola because they're a vegetarian. I'm sorry. More power to you. If you don't want to play something, that's fine, but that's dumb. I'll make fun of you. That one I don't feel bad saying. It's just a game. It's just farming. It's a game. But in general, hey, again, whatever you feel comfortable with, do whatever makes you happy. We're accepting of all types here at Roll for Crit,
except for humans,
not vegetarians
or humans. We don't like humans in our group. No humans.
I think that is all we can say for this episode. We've said too much already.
Oh, yes, we did.
Please, if you have any thoughts, you might have a lot about this subject, or maybe you have some ideas about Gen Con. Maybe there's a city you think it could go to next.
Maybe some games that either shouldn't touch topic, or maybe you have an idea for a game for a topic that should be analyzed and discussed.
Exactly. Well, you can let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment on the video or email us. Our address is rollforcrit@gmail.com. And they can go to our website.
Yeah, we sell a bunch of these games that we mentioned, most of them. And, of course, you can always follow us through Twitter and Instagram and like this video. It's just right down there. Once again, just click it.
Subscribe.
No one will hate you for doing that.
No, we'll all be happy for you. And all that stuff so you can keep up with us. And much, much more at rollforcrit.com. That's us. We're Roll for Crit. I think that'll do it for this social awareness-fueled episode of the Roll for Crit show. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and this has been the Roll for Crit podcast.